Hi, this is episode 3 of Inside Joseph Campbell, the Hero and the God. So we're going to be going through 4 things in this episode. Separation, initiation, return. Story circles. We're going to be looking at heroes, and then we're going to be looking at cross-cultural consistency. Great, let's just get to it. So the short version of this episode is that the hero is the object of change, the thing that is going to change, and that the God is the change that they're looking for, the answer. If you're satisfied with that, then stop watching. If you want more detail, keep going. Now, all stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Of course. Now, Joseph Campbell chooses to frame those 3 phases of a story as separation, initiation, and return. So let me just put it in his words what those things are about. Quote, "A hero ventures forth from the world of common day into a region of supernatural wonder. Fabulous forces are there encountered, and a decisive victory is won. The hero comes back from this mysterious adventure with the power to bestow boons on his fellow man." End quote. So let me give you some examples from sort of like very popular modern movies. Finding Nemo. So you have Marlin, his kid gets kidnapped, which pulls him out of the safety of the reef. He then has to go across the ocean, overcome obstacles. He learns to loosen up a little bit, let go of control. He then rescues his son, brings him back to the reef where he's a better father, a less controlling father. The Matrix. Neo is trying to find out what the Matrix is. Morpheus then takes him to the real world where he learns what the Matrix is, how it works, and he learns how to kick butt. And then he kicks a load of butt and he goes back into the Matrix to then free all of the people who are enslaved by the Matrix, right? So let's go back into like old plays and things. So let's go Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet. You've got 2 feuding families. One family member, one person from one family gate crashes the party of the other family. They fall in love with 2 people from the opposite families, fall in love. They then have to hide that love. In order for them to be together, they decide to try and run away. There's a miscommunication and they both end up killing themselves. And the families decide to end the feud because the cost of having the feud is too great. They just lost 2 of their kids. That's Romeo and Juliet. So you have the initial fight, and then this terrible thing happens, and then they end the fight. So the very last one, let's look at Fast and the Furious, the very first movie. So you got an ambitious young cop who'll do anything to get ahead. He then has to infiltrate a group of street racers. He does that. He learns what it is to be part of a family, what it is to have honor and to have a code. He proves himself as a racer. They take him in. And at the end of the movie, he has to choose between being a cop or being an honorable person. And he chooses being an honorable person by letting him have his car, which is what he owed him at the beginning of the movie. So he decides to keep his honor, even if it means losing his job. So from those examples, you can see they separate from the world. They meet with some kind of supernatural power. And then they have a life-enhancing return. Here's a problem. They figure out how to fix it. And then they go back and fix it. Great, so let's look at the story circle and let's break out separation, initiation, and return into slightly more detail explaining each stage. All right, here we go. So this is a story circle. Now this is the separation phase. It belongs here, and it consists of a few different things. There's the call to adventure, which is the hero either finds out they need to change or society has a problem that it can't ignore. Then there's the refusal of the call. The hero is reluctant to go on the adventure. They don't want to go because of the dangers of going or because they want to remain safe. Then you have supernatural aid. They receive help or guidance or encouragement with either ideas or physical objects. Then there's the crossing of the threshold. They leave the comfort of the ordinary world in order to go into the special world. Then you have Belly of the Whale, which is the introduction to the new world. Now that's the end of separation and the beginning of initiation. Now, with initiation, you have Road of Trials, which are the obstacles that need to be overcome. Then you have a meeting with the goddess, which is discovering what really needs to change in the hero. Woman as Temptress, which is the temptation to go back to who they were and to not have to change. Then there's Atonement with the Father, confronting what needs to change head on. Then you have Apotheosis, which is the death and rebirth of the hero, or the aspect of the hero that needs to change. Then you have the Ultimate Boon, which is knowing the lesson and overcoming the problem. Now that's the end of initiation. And then you have Return. Return consists of a few things. There's refusal of the return, not wanting to leave the special world. The Magic Flight, which is the hero returns with the support of the special world. The special world helps sort of push them out and back into the ordinary world. Or you could have Rescue from Without, which is where the ordinary world helps to pull the hero back out from the special world. As part of those, you have Crossing the Return Threshold, where the hero actually returns back from the special world to the ordinary world. Then you have Master of the Two Worlds, where the hero demonstrates what change needs to happen and how it happens. And then there's Freedom to Live, which is the hero demonstrating that the hero's life has now changed and that's how it's going to be from now on. Now, I'm going to be going into way more detail with every single one of those stages in later episodes, so keep an eye out for those. Now, the return of the hero is super important because it justifies why the hero went on the adventure in the first place. If the hero doesn't bring back the lesson for the society at large, then they're not really a hero. Like, heroism is all about bringing that lesson back for the benefit of everyone. Heroes. Now, a hero is usually someone that society can either hold up or put down. If you look at heroes, they usually have some kind of special ability. In Gladiator, Maximus Decimus Meridius, Russell Crowe's character, is a great leader, a great tactician, a great fighter. He has a lot of qualities that are really valuable. Indiana Jones is an incredible archaeologist. Harry Potter is an incredible wizard. Now, sometimes the hero can have like other issues which can change the impact of the lesson that they brought back with them. So it could restrict the lesson so that it only really matters for themselves, or it could just change a few people, or it could change society at large, depending on the quality of the hero. Now, some stories can end with the hero having changed so much that when they go back to the ordinary world, they're kind of disillusioned with it. So if you look at like Jerry Maguire, for example, who puts out a memo about, trying to make it more about clients and less about money, and he kind of goes through that whole thing, and then by the end of the movie, he's learned that lesson. He wants to be really part of his clients' lives, but the agency that he was part of could never accept that lesson, and so he ends up getting rejected. So sometimes the hero will return with a lesson that the society just isn't ready to accept or deal with. Take like The Big Short, for example. In that movie, you have a lot of guys who figured out all of the financial crash stuff, and they were trying to tell everyone and warn everyone about it. No one was having it, and at the end of the movie, nothing changed. Sometimes the world just isn't ready for change. Now, whoever the hero is and whatever story it is you're telling, the metastructure behind stories remains constant pretty much around the world. There are lots of different ways that you could start a story, for example, but the start of the story is always going to be separating the hero from their ordinary world. I try and look at it like a chair. There's lots of different types of chairs, but all chairs are for sitting on. Same goes with characters in stories. There are certain types of characters that exist in most stories, and they're all trying to do the same thing. Like, a mentor character is always going to try and give the hero advice. They're always going to try and help them on the journey. But there's lots of different ways that they can do that. Again, with the chair thing, you can make a chair out of lots of different materials, but it will always be a chair as long as it has 4 legs and a seat. or just legs in a seat even. Now, there are similar stories that appear across lots of different cultures, and Joseph Campbell explains this by saying that the inherent wants and needs of human beings, no matter where they are, is pretty much the same. We all want to be safe, we all want to be secure, we all want to raise families and do all these different things. And because of those wants and needs, the same problems might be coming. The same problems are coming up in lots of different cultures, and so those stories and the stories to solve those problems are coming up across different cultures, and sometimes they come up with the same solutions. Take religion, for example. How many different religions are there out there, all trying to explain what happens after we die? They're all different stories, but they're all trying to solve the same problem. Stories aren't about gaining something new. They're about retaining something that already existed in ourselves. They're about rediscovering what already exists. All of the powers and the special abilities of the hero existed in them all along. Now, this meta structure, this story structure, because it speaks to human problems and the innate human problems we all have, it kind of speaks to this unified human spirit. That there's this one human spirit that exists amongst everyone, which puts everyone in the same boat. Great! You made it to the end. Really, really appreciate that. Next week, we're going to be talking about the World Naval. If you enjoyed this video, if you're enjoying this series, just like and subscribe somewhere below here. And I'll see you next week. Peace.